I welcome you to this segment of our event. It is an engagement with all of us participants here on AI. All issues, policy issues with respect to the use of artificial intelligence, some, at least to the extent that we can go, want to engage ourselves. So please get yourself ready as I ask you to please put your hands together as I invite Professor Olugbenga Ojo, the Directorate of Exams and Assessment, National Open University of Nigeria, who is going to take us on a 15 minutes presentation, and then we'll launch the engagement.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My task here is to bring up an issue that virtually all the discourse that we've been having here hinge on. And this is policy matter, because even if you want to do anything regarding AI in the university, there must be backbone for it. So it is the policy that is the backbone of incursion to AI in the university. So I'm talking on policy on the adoption of artificial intelligence in NOUN. This was actually developed by a team put together by the university. The policy alignment touched on virtually everything that has to take place in the university, such as policy on plagiarism, policy on learners with special needs, now quality assurance policies, processes and procedures, institutional periodic quality assurance, audit, now data center policy, now data governance policy, e-learning to virtual learning policy, policy on assessment. That one touched my area. In recent times, just as we have listened since yesterday, virtually we have learned a lot about artificial intelligence. And it is to improve, the major task of artificial intelligence to improve learning and teaching purpose in the higher institution. Artificial intelligence has in recent times emerged as a veritable tool with the potential to improve the quality of teaching and learning by personalizing learning experiences, automating administrative bases, tasks, and providing useful insight for educators. It hinges on its machine that does all these tasks. Just feed it into the computer using algorithm and whatever. The machine will bring out what you request. And the onus is now on you to see if it is what you want or not. Yesterday, when there was opportunity for me to ask a question, I said, do we just throw the thing in there and take it hook, line, and sinker? But my own thought is that you have to tinker with it. Whatever that comes out for you, you have to tinker with it, or else you go astray. The National Open University of Nigeria has grown considerably in its operations. Because if you look at where we started, with a few study centers and few courses and programs, now we have emerged, and in Africa, worldwide, we are known, we are recognized. For instance, in terms of assessment, you can be in your home in Nigeria or your house in Japan or in Germany and write our exams. This is part of artificial intelligence we are talking about. It's a response to artificial intelligence. To achieve this goal, it is necessary to have a policy. Like I've said, you cannot just delve into it when you are handling it within the university, or else you go astray or you go against the rule of the system. So there must be policy in place. The policy outcomes, outlines the principles and guidelines by the responsible adoption of AI, not only in teaching and learning, via the learning management system of NOUN, but in all other operational activities of NOUN. It was put together. This committee that worked on this handled it last year in February 2004, but yet to be approved. And the essence of presenting it here is to enable us to discuss whichever point is raised here as a policy, so that if we need to tinker with it, we'll do that. If there isn't to add anything to it, we'll do that. The purpose of the policy is, one, to address ethical considerations, equity, data privacy, and transparency regarding the use of AI. It is aimed to ensure that AI technologies are useful and used responsibly to improve the operational activities in NOUN and to enhance learning outcomes while preserving students' privacy rights and well-being. This includes guidelines for data usage, that's one. Two, algorithm transparency and the ethical development and deployment of AI system in NOUN. And I'm sure this gathering actually looked at the ethical issues in AI. The scope given to the committee is that the policy should cover all areas of NOUN operations where artificial intelligence is adoptable, and including every available platform, web, mobile, network, etc., through which NOUN services and operations are carried out. These services and operations include, but not limited to, content creations, that's about our course material, virtual assistant, that's technical support, personalized learning platform, learning management system, MIS, inclusive education, intelligent tutoring system, language learning applications. 4, evaluation and assessment, that's the automated grading system that we use, ERP. Data analysis and other areas of adoption of AI in NOUN, which include administrative tasks, health, human resource, physical security, quality assurance, and continuous improvement, and other emerging services. The terms of definitions. I did not list any terms of definitions here because what the researchers have put in our file contains virtually all, even more than terms I could define here. So we can consult with this. It's in our folders to see the definition of terms. The policy principles. The National Open University of Nigeria is committed to harnessing the potential of artificial intelligence to enhance the accessibility quality and flexibility of education. These guidelines are developed to align artificial intelligence technologies with the university's mission, vision, emphasizing social justice, equity, equality, lifelong learning, and national cohesion in a quality, cost, and effective manner. Adopting AI in the NOUN operations shall support a comprehensive education reach, transcending all barriers and optimizing learning outcomes for all learning. These principles include, but not limited to, accessibility and inclusivity, personalized learning, flexibility, equity and fairness, ethical consideration and human oversight, data privacy and security, quality and cost effectiveness, lifelong learning, and continual improvement, collaborations and stakeholders engagement, professional development and training, adaptability of emerging technologies, sustainability, continuous monitoring and evaluation. These are the focus of the policy put together. Then policy statement. AI-powered content creation tools and the used to support NOUN. Course material development, script writing for video production, project and thesis writing, research, plagiarism, check. Provided that the use of these tools do not violate the institutional policy on plagiarism. 2, AI-powered virtual assistant shall be provided via the university website to support prospective students and staff with instant access to information, response to queries. 3, artificial intelligence-based personalized learning shall be used in NOUN in a responsible manner with ethical implementation of AI-driven educational technologies. All AI and well-being of distance learners, promoting the academic success and lifelong learning. The existing learning management system by automated assessment and feedback tool using AI algorithm to grade assignments, quizzes, and exams, providing immediate feedback to learners shall be used to analyze learner submissions, identifying patterns and errors, and generate personalized feedback. All artificial intelligence-powered instructional contents and learning management system shall be structured to mitigate biases and disparities by designing personalized learning experiences that address the diverse needs, backgrounds, and abilities to distance learners, regardless of socioeconomic status, race, gender, disability, or other factors. 5, all adoption and adaptation shall comply with NOUN data governance policy. 6, all key performance indicator KPI shall be developed by the relevant implementing units of the university, and the quality assurance mechanism shall be implemented to evaluate the effectiveness, accuracy, and fairness of AI power system. This will include periodic quality assurance audit, user feedback evaluation, and performance benchmarking against established standards. 7, artificial intelligence power systems in NOUN shall be subject to continuous monitoring and evaluation through feedback from users, which will be systematically gathered and analyzed by the Directorate of Quality Assurance to inform enhancement and innovation. 8, NOUN shall encourage research in artificial intelligence in education to explore innovative use, understand its impact by supporting experimental projects to test new AI applications in a controlled manner before proper implementation. These tests shall be carried out by a target unit supported by other groups of experts from within the university. 9, the application of AI in the analysis of data in NOUN shall be guided by the NOUN data governance policy so that preemptive, and diagnostic measures can be taken as applicable to improve service delivery. 10. The artificial intelligence use in the university shall recognize the security of student data and be accorded top priority while making sure that all AI applications abide by applicable data privacy laws and rules as stipulated in the NOUN data governance policy. This will enable the protection of sensitive data gathered during exams, such as access controls, encryption, and frequent security audits. 11. All AI algorithms utilized in examination activities shall be transparent and understandable according to the Directorate of Examination and Assessment regulations. Information on how AI systems make judgments, including variables taken into account, and the justification for suggestions or actions must be open and understandable by stakeholders. 12. Stakeholders will continue to maintain human monitoring and intervention methods in order to guarantee responsible use of AI. While AI system can help with some activities, including creating questions and grading them in order to maintain academic integrity and fairness, examiners with adequate qualifications shall examine the final conclusion for correctness where applicable. This one, let me quickly say this. You know, when we have an exams, especially pen on paper, we have large number of students. And for us to mark takes a while. What we are putting together in terms that looks like AI, that's even AI, is the fact that we are trying to develop a software that will be able to mark our pen on paper without much ado. In order to suit a variety of needs and learning styles, AI use in the university shall be built with capabilities like screen readers, alternate input modalities, and adaptive interfaces. Stakeholders shall make sure that all students, including those with disabilities, are able to utilize AI technologies employed in examination and other activities. 14. The university shall interact with the relevant stakeholders and experts to arrive at opinions and suggestions regarding the adoption and adaptation of artificial intelligence in assessment activities. The needs and viewpoints of all the stakeholders shall be taken into consideration in arriving at acceptable AI-driven solutions. Okay. Policy implementation. The policy that is put in place, that is proposed, this is the implementation side of it. Content creation tools shall be acquired by or developed and integrated to the university LMS by the DLCMS. This integration shall be carried out incrementally so as not to disrupt the operations of the system while in use. 2. AI-powered virtual assistant shall be provided via the university website, mobile apps, LMS, etc., by DMIS, DLCMS, and DICT. 3. All powered personalized learning platform that are provided by the Directorate of Learning Content Management System in such a manner that enhances the overall operations of the university and Directorate of Examination and Assessment shall be saddled with the responsibility of ensuring the use of feedback tools of the quiz functionality on the Moodle elements. The facilitators are expected to provide feedback for each quiz items in the TMAs. AI-based content management system with respect to learning materials, web-based information, evaluation of learning outcomes shall be provided by the DLCMS, DICT, and DE respectively, in such a manner that ensures smooth operations of the university. Data analytics shall be carried out by the DMIS in a responsible manner when required by management or any unit of the system as necessary, such that it does not violate privacy of staff and students and in compliance with NOUN data governance policy. Algorithm transparency and explainability shall be adhered to by all units involved in the adoption of any form of AI in the university. The DEA shall interact with pertinent stakeholders such as learners, instructors, administrators, and relevant experts to arrive at opinions and suggestions regarding the adoption and adaptation of artificial intelligence in assessment activities. The Quality Assurance DQA shall exercise oversight function on the implementation of AI in the university to ensure accessibility, inclusivity, ethical compliance, and sustainability through continuous performance evaluation. Sanction for violating the policy. Investigation and potential legal action as warranted. 2, that verbal warning. 3, written reprimands. 4, suspension or termination of access to AI resources and facility for research. Probationary measures, fines, loss of privileges for research. Staff shall be required to undergo remedial training as will be recommended by the head of unit of the staff in conjunction with the DQA to ensure mutual adherence to established guidelines. 6, community service for a week or 2, depending on the decision of the disciplinary committee or other remedial actions aimed at addressing the harm caused and promoting accountability. 7, expulsion of students from the university, depending on the seriousness of the offense and the impact on the use of the university community. 8, termination of employment of staff, depending on the nature and severity of the offenses. These are the team. It's made up of Professor Joshua Abba, Professor Grace Joktan, my humble self, Dr. Belu Lukman Kolapo, Mr. Adibo Ijadenka, Mr. Kichuku Udogu, Mr. Kichuku Onyia, and Mr. Jaju Nabeisa. Thank you for listening. Now that we have this, I think we can go through the policies one after the other so that we can discuss it. For us to be able to think how we got to put together. Thank you.
I think the way we envisioned this engagement is that we need to just reflect on it. I probably should say that from what I know is a proposed policy, Prof, right? It is not yet an adopted policy. So from the that the university has. But I just wrote down a few questions here to guide the conversation, and I've been told that Professor Olugbenga has an intervention. The first question I have is, do we need a policy on AI use? I also asked myself, what is missing from what has been presented? What are the things that are there that shouldn't be there? Then who should this policy focus on? And then should we use AI in all areas of our operations indiscriminately, you know? And then should there be sanctions at all for any, you know, these are some of the questions that I wrote down while listening to him. And the basis of this is number 14 that he raised, that our viewpoints are required to strengthen this document. So at this point, I'll just, since Professor Duma has indicated interest, I'd like him to say something.
Yeah, thank you very much. The comments I want to make is not bordering on what Professor Joe presented. It's bordering on the entire workshop. However, on the issue of whether we need a policy or not, that is inescapable. We need a policy. That one is certain. But the question I want to ask is, or the observation I've made is this: there is this story we tell in philosophy about a man who went to the university. They took him to the library, to the hotels, to the various units of the university. I said, I have seen the library, I have seen the departments, the faculty, the hostels, but where is the university? We call it a category mistake. Now, this workshop is titled Ethics and the Sustainability of Artificial Intelligence in Higher Education. I've not seen any discussion on ethics in this workshop for the 2 days I participated. And so I am worried. And that is where my worry becomes more trenchant when I saw that my HOD is one of the movers of this thing. I thought that philosophy has a role to play in this workshop. And if we come to a workshop where we're talking about ethics, and of course the issue of artificial intelligence and ethics is very important. That was why when I raised my question, it brought on Alan Turing and the issue of consciousness, because we are taking it back to human, to humanize what we are doing in technology. And so if we come for this two-day workshop and we do not address the critical issue of ethics, it is actually anchored on ethics, I am worried. So going forward, as we think about this, I would want us to really bring to the front burner the issue of ethical concern about artificial intelligence. And for our guide, I would just want to think of, I want to refer us to somebody like Martin Heidegger, who talked about technology. Because when we talk about artificial intelligence, it's about technology. And when we talk about ethics of AI, Martin Heidegger draws our attention to three thinkings. One, technology is not an instrument. Technology is a way of understanding the world. Secondly, technology is not a human activity, but develops beyond human control. If you look at what we're talking about, artificial intelligence, getting beyond our control. That's why people are clamoring about ethics. And then he says again, technology is the highest danger, risking us to only see the world through technological thinking. Because if you follow artificial intelligence without an ethics, you will only be guided by technological thinking. And we are moving towards self-destruct. That is why the issue of ethics is very, very important. So for the team in NOUN, I would think that people will do a rethink. Let us really address the ethical issues in AI. So far, we've not done that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. I have a few other hands raised. I read something a long time ago about the incomplete works of Shoyinka. So maybe these are the incomplete works of the ethics group.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. It is a good presentation that this policy is being presented before us here. My own is just a suggestion that it has been presented to us now, but it will be very difficult for us now to fine-tune this policy, that it could be disseminated to the stakeholders to go through it properly and suggestions could be made. And secondly, in Nigeria generally, we are very weak in implementation of policies. Very, very weak, including the sanctions that are listed there. So how are we sure that we can adhere to this sanction that is listed in this policy? Because generally in Nigeria, and that's what led Nigeria to where we are today, implementation of policy. Thank you.
Okay, I guess that's is to assume that you believe there should be sanctions.
Thank you very much. When I look at the topic of this 2 days workshop, it's ethics and sustainability of AI. Just as the former DVC, Akad said, much has not been said on ethics. Also sustainability of AI. I've had this question, what are the sustainability strategies of AI in higher education? Also need to be mentioned. So the focus of the topic matters a lot, so I need to address it very well. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for this opportunity. Yes, my concern borders on what Professor Ayodele had echoed. Sanctions. It's one thing to roll out policies and threaten sanctions, but like he rightly said, we are weak when it comes to implementing sanctions and policies. But looking at all that have been said since the workshop came, and then leveraging from this aspect of policy and sanction implementation, I want to say we would rather be thinking about how to craft incentives to mitigate against the actual engineers or the developers of the AI tools who it is in their power to develop, because they create algorithms. These algorithms that run the machines, right? So if you don't develop the right incentives to keep these people in check, put all the policies, put all the sanctions in place, they will, just like you have, they will keep, developing AI tools that will give what's it called, unsafe and unethical systems. Let me come out clearly. It's just like you have these Yahoo boys, cyber crime experts. Despite all the policies, despite all the watchdogs in Nigeria, EFCC and all that, they still are out, hacking people's system, committing frauds and all that. So I think, why don't we think the other way? Instead of wielding the stake, why don't we do the carrot approach? Look at way to craft out robust incentives that will put it not only in now, globally now, you understand, robust incentives that will put, dissuade people, even the algorithm creators from developing or creating tools that, we will be unsafe in the deployment of AI.
Thank you very much. I have one more, then I'll request Nuno or Nitesh.
Well, thank you, sir. For those of us who read history of education, so we are aware that the form of Western education we received at the time didn't actually meet our indigenous need. And the same thing when internet came up, also we built some theories, some things over it, and we didn't make use of it. And on this era of AI, so I'm believing that we should maximize this as an institution, as a nation. So in this view, I want to see in the policy, I would love to see in the policy where even the continuously where the students are being trained on, because the best way not to abuse things is to teach how to use it. In other countries, we have personally bought some applications built by the young students out there using AI to do. So beyond that, the faculty, the university should also have a target. What do we want to achieve with AI? They should even charge the faculties, come up with something. We have innovation, and it should be tailored towards advancement, or specific tasks. Our students should be continually trained. The staff should be trained on the best way to use it, not only for descriptive work, but also an innovation and an invention. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes, I understand that Professor Christian Ofulu is online and she would like to ask a question. Please unmute, Prof.
Good afternoon, all. My apologies for having to step out. I've been there all morning. I have a couple of things to say. First, some general comments, and then specific to the policy. First of all, I would like to thank the two presenters and the last presenter, Professor Nitesh. Thank you very much for sharing your thoughts on research, particularly how AI can be used to solve problems. I think the value of AI towards research, I think it's very, very, very key, and it's something that should find expression in the policy. There is a concern that I have, and I think as we go on, we'll probably find solutions. It has been mentioned, the issue of, especially in the global south, that we are mostly consumers and we would like to see ourselves more as contributors. However, there are concerns regarding that. There are ownership concerns, which has been mentioned. And then the solutions so far, such as creating your own LLMS, is quite expensive. So these are still issues. There's also the concern of voices from the global south, which has also been touched on, but I mean, we don't really have any real solutions to this. I, coming from a linguistic background, it resonated with me when you talked about, Professor Nietzsche talked about the language concerns and accents and all of that. So these are all issues, and I think in one way or the other, they can find expression in this policy. However, specific to our institution, there have been a number of AI initiatives. I think one was mentioned this morning. There are ongoing initiatives in various units of the institution. And I think there's a need for all of that to be harmonized and to find some harmonized and to receive what's the value and the findings and the outcomes of those initiatives, so that we can have a robust institutional policy. I stumbled on a new terminology called educational artificial intelligence, basically just focusing on how we can use AI to improve teaching and learning, including administration and research. And I think this is where our focus should be. What areas the policy needs to be very clear on the aspects that it wants to, we want to use AI to integrate AI. It needs to be clear on that. And I think it can be made broader than it currently is. What are the key issues? Ethics, policy, safeguarding the use of data, security, and training, capacity building. I think those are the key areas. I also want to end by recommending to the committee, UNESCO has a very robust document on developing AI policy, and they recommended about 8 guidelines. And I think some of them have been mentioned at this workshop. There are others, but I think this institutional policy will benefit from maybe using that as a benchmark to improve.
All right, seems we've lost a prof there. I want to start. Do you want to respond first? Okay.
Thank you. Just let me point out one thing, and it's very germane in this discourse. You cannot go out of bounds because you want to operate on anything. Your culture matters most. Yes, there might be suggestions here and there. Those things have to serve as a guide towards our operations. We cannot take those things hook, line, and sinker because they are from wherever. We need to operate within what concerns us here. That is one. 2, Professor Uduma mentioned something about ethics, which is ethos for this artificial intelligence. Yes, it is very correct. But then, what's the essence of ethos? Ethos relates to credibility and trust in human-machines interaction. And for the purpose of what? To operate in a responsible manner, which is beneficial and socially aligned manner, prioritizing like transparency. The essence of putting repercussion and this policy address the issue of ethos. Where there is no law, there can't be any offense. Moment you have those things there, if you again goes the rules, then you have to be punished. There must be consequences for activities. So I don't know if those things might not be enough, but we have room to add more to it. Professor the DR said this atmosphere may not be laxity enough for us to have contributions, but we have presented this to the public. Whatever suggestions anyone is having about it, if you want us to add to it, if you want us to expand it, if you want to reduce, kindly put up your suggestions and get back to us. Thank you.
No, do you have anything to say? First off, just congratulations. I know it's a lot of work putting these things together, and I do not envy the position. From what I understand, it's the first version, correct? So you will certainly get a lot of comments back, and it's still a long road to get something that is actionable. I can give you a bit of insights on how that process has been at Notre Dame. It has been long. I think we talked about this over these 2 days, just collecting information on how everyone is thinking about the subject, the type of rules, frameworks that people are using, and just getting everything together and figuring out what works for us. I think this is the first suggestion, which is very obvious. You'll find a lot of information. I'm sure you did find a lot of information to arrive at this draft. The National Open University has a particular setting, which is the online, which creates a ton of other challenges that, for example, Notre Dame has some part of online teaching, but not at this scale and not with this centrality. And I think there's one thing that I didn't understand here, but maybe you can enlighten me. Would this policy be directed at specifically students and faculty, or just one of them? Is it purposefully designed for faculty, for professors, or students? Just because in terms of it being actionable and you actually getting in the road and reaching the final objective, which is getting this implemented, what we found is that concerning students, the most important thing is to be true to the values, right? Academic honesty, etc., and just trying to figure out what are the uses of this technology. So not the technology to court. So the uses of the technology, that it is a joint opinion that it infringes on those values. And those are on the list of things that students cannot use. On the faculty side, there are also those, but for the most case, at least in my opinion, going through those, we leave a lot of latitude. And we also, I believe I talked yesterday about that, allowing faculty to explore adversarial settings with AI tools that, used properly, may be very beneficial. So I would just make that second recommendation to be sure that this policy addresses directly the core values that you want to uphold, but that you leave enough latitude
for faculty to kind of navigate the ethicals, the good and bads, and all the demonstrations that they they might want. So for now, I'll probably talk again, but for now, just these general comments. And thank you. I know it's not, so good luck.
Nitesh, do you have anything to add to this? Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other? I saw a hand raised before. Yes, Professor Pate.
Well, Professor Nuno has actually made observation on what I wanted to say on the policy concerning what is the role of the faculty in this particular policy, because majority of the points on the policy stems on students and assessment. So aside assessment, what about the content from the facilitators, which we give to the students? So are there anything we want to say on that? So we need to look at that. But since our presenter has told us that whatever observation we have seen the document, we'll still make it available to the committee.
Thank you. I don't think there's any. Okay, yes. Helen has something to say.
Thank you very much. I am responding specifically to my professor in the department, Professor Ojuma. You started with that interesting analogy we always draw, category mistake, Gilbert Rye, the mind as mirror. And I don't know, I think you were being provocative. Maybe you were foregrounding where you were going, that maybe by your last words, you were probably committing a category mistake. But I don't want to assume that is it, but it's quite apt to begin with, because especially for the benefit of those who may actually align with your thoughts without, maybe there's a need for some clarifications. Yes, as a philosopher, I share your view when it comes to ethics and when it comes to artificial intelligence ethics. Some weeks ago, I was discussing with a couple of persons that in this, because AI has become very topical, we already have emergency AI ethicists, those whom you will feel like, what exactly is your framework for interrogating AI if you don't have a background in philosophy? Because we tend to think of philosophy as the bedrock of, moral philosophy now, as the bedrock of ethics and as a very good foundation for AI ethics. And that's my suspicion. And I penned down, I opened a Word document and say, I'm going to do a commentary on who is an AI ethicist. But surprisingly, 2 weeks ago, I saw an article, 2025, released, who is an AI ethicist, addressing that's my concern. And now I don't intend to reinvent the wheel, but to do a commentary on that paper itself. So I think when we think about AI ethicists as philosophers, we might fall into the temptation to think about ethics in the very traditional parlance, where we talk about utilitarianism, Bentham and Mill, Immanuel Kant, deontology, W.D. Ross, or even back to the Aristotle and the likes. But because AI is so interdisciplinary, we cannot safely claim a monopoly of the knowledge and how it should be done. As a matter of fact, this paper touches on empirical ideas on AI ethics. And yesterday, since the opening remarks of the Vice Chancellor and presentation of this project, it's foregrounded a lot of ways in which we can be thinking and tinkering with ideas It's not so much about being prescriptive, but about raising questions. And we do that a lot in philosophy, that our minds continue to chew on, and it could help to influence our perception and how we engage with AI in relation to our work as academic and in relation with guiding our students. So now you would see computer scientists, even lawyers, being AI ethicists. And I also tell myself that philosophy can't say we have a monopoly of it, or we should approach it in a traditional way in which we begin to say what is ethics, maybe in a workshop like this, and we begin to teach ethics and begin to do that. But more importantly, fundamentally, because of the diversity of people, of minds, of disciplines that we have here, lots of questions have been raised, lots of examples, case studies, project dissemination has been given to widen our horizon, to juggle our minds, give us things to, concept, ideas to think with. And especially I refer to Naitesh's rise, responsible, inclusive, sustainable, and ethical AI. So I will stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's the last word we'll take on that. Thank you very much, Professor Ojo. We, like Ellen said, there are more questions than answers. And Professor Okulu has also identified, while she was speaking, some of the areas. I remember that Dr. Akonde also emphasized some of the things that we should be looking at in the policy. But the point to be made is that it's a draft policy. It's not yet public. But we just felt that this conversation will not be complete unless we have a framework for which that is done. My own position is that I also agree with Dr. Greg that there shouldn't be sanctions, but that's my own personal opinion. At this point, we are soon going to close this session, but we have a small activity to perform. I think we have all done very well since yesterday. We have the honor of hosting Naitesh Chola and Nuno Moniz all the way from the University of Notre Dame. And we have a presentation from the university management for both of them. So may I invite both of you to come out here, please. A round of applause for them as they approach the days. Yes, and then to do this presentation is the Dean Postgraduate School, Professor Soni Oniye. Yes. And of course, Ellen will be assisting him to do this. Dr. Ellen Olojede, please.
Yes, thank you very much, the organizers of this occasion. And we'll also have to thank our guest speakers, namely Professor Nuno Moniz and Professor Nietzsche Chawla. We appreciate your contributions, particularly opening a new nexus as far as the discussion on ethical and sustainability of artificial intelligence in contemporary world. So on behalf of the management of National Open University of Nigeria, we would like to thank you and appreciate you by presenting you some gifts. This is Femuni on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, National Open University of Nigeria. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor of National Open University of Nigeria, we present to you this little gift. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Shall we take picture? Okay, yes. Let's have pictures. Dr. Olojede. Oh, a round of applause. Thank you very much. A round of applause for them as they go back to their seats. Please, the last session did not just take place. There is a committee of rapporteurs that took down all the comments that are made, which is going to be submitted. So I thought I should say that all those questions raised were not just raised for entertainment. They're going to feed back to the committee that worked on that document. Having said that, I think we've come to the conclusion of this program. I think we've all done well. The next activity is to just go for lunch and go back to our various offices from there. On behalf of this committee, I thank every participant who has, come to this, and then we especially thank our esteemed guests, Professor Nuno Muniz and Nitesh Chawla, for accepting the invitation to come to Nigeria. Thank you very much.